Testing, testing. Sup, ladies and gents, and welcome to another Ramblings of a Madman. I decided to change it from clearing my head because I think it rolls off the tongue a little bit better. And also, it's probably more fitting. But yes, let us jump right into where we were at previously. And it was it was a little while ago, quite a bit of time ago, that we did this. So I can't actually remember what I said particularly about this, but obviously these last couple of notes, the old with great power comes great insecurity and stuff like that. It's a tendency to, not necessarily. And of course it depends on what kind of aspect of life we're talking about. It might be that a person feels way more secure in themselves, and hence why this might develop a superiority complex, potentially. So only potentially, you see. I don't, as I say, it's been a few weeks, but I don't remember explaining this as such, but the fame trap is kind of to do with this kind of security thing. Like, the more famous we are, the more potential issues with other people who have potential mental issues, and therefore that could be a kind of trap, which leads to the insecurity, hence why a lot of people who are rather famous have, like walled off housing, their land's walled off and all that jazz, and they've got security details, they've got their own bodyguards and whatnot. So that could be considered the fame trap. The wealth trap is for a similar reason, to protect against potential jealousy or envy, in combination with some kind of mental health problem from others. And the identity trap, I don't think I explained really, I just kind of wrote this down, but this is basically where we kind of use definitive labels, either directed towards ourselves or towards others, which can either keep us in a box whereby we continue to do certain behaviours, or keep us away from a different box where we might do other behaviours. For example, veganism. So people who identify or have a kind of strong tendency to some kind of affinity with identity, and then don't identify as vegan, will probably be very averse to the ideas of veganism. Not necessarily the ideas, but like the transition seems more difficult. The activation energy or reactivation energy of moving from non-vegan to vegan may be perceived as to be more difficult. Hope that makes sense. Once again, I've decided to do this at an unreasonable hour. But yeah, anyway, I have for once stopped my phone from turning off after 60 seconds, so I'll have to keep reopening it. So let's see what other notes we have. This was today. So where are we? June 24. So the dynamic, still haven't learned to type, between rebellion, definitely not learned to type, and conformity, and how this dynamic impacts societal development. And I guess not just societal, but individual as well. So we'll put individual, individual / societal / group / societal, depending on how micro or macro you want to go. So we got how the dynamic influences physical trends such as fashion. Now it's kind of almost cyclical, but with some adaptations maybe, and aesthetics generally, including arts, architecture. I guess you could class as fashion as a form of art, architecture also as a form of art, etc. So physical trends like those, and also more abstract concepts such as religion and other ideologies, such as affinity to various economic systems, rules and regulations, etc. Taboos and norms. I'm going to put that as well. Taboos versus norms, etc. Awesome. You heard of that one? This one was also today, so June 2024. You'd think it'd be fresh in my mind, but it was several hours have passed, so more than a minute has passed. We've been influenced and manipulated throughout our entire lives, so the decisions, with an asterisk, we make are both our own, but also not our own. They're really just reactions between different aspects of the entity. The entity is just what I kind of call everything, which I quite like the sound of up until I watched the latest Mission Impossible, and then they just constantly use the words the entity, the entity, the entity. I don't know who came up with the dialogue with that bloody film, but don't ruin a good thing. Some of the scenes were pretty good. There was a few stunts in there, but rather entertaining. So this is interesting when we think about it in relation to people who do things that could be perceived rather, as negative. I guess probably positive as well. But yeah, we'll focus on this for now anyway. So e.g. people who work in porn or prostitution. So if the line of thinking defending positions such as these is, well, that's what some of them want to do, then that holds less water or genital fluids. Lovely. If what everyone wants is fundamentally not entirely of our own creation / maintenance, then bring in relativity, and we could ask, well, is this what the person... Just realised, yep, everything's on the screen, that's good. Probably should have checked that earlier. But that's how we do things here. Well, is this what the person would most rather do for work? Even if yes, the same fact about our wants being undermined somewhat still applies. Though, of course, even if our wants aren't entirely our own, they are still what we want, in the moment at least, regardless. And then the asterisk, which was for, what was it? Religious reaction. Oh, no. We've been influenced and manipulated throughout our entire life, so the decisions, thoughts, wants, etc., basically everything to do with us. Conglomeration, quite a nice word, of interreactive reactions that flow / fluctuate over time, or based on context. Yes, that'll do for that one. This one's yesterday, 2024. A sense of community has been eroded for a lot of people in the modern modern society. So we've essentially somewhat brought solitary confinement to the masses to varying extents, or maybe not actual solitary confinement, but brought the some of the effects of or consequences, effects, consequences to the masses to varying extents. This obviously leads to discontentment relative to not doing that. Contentment, don't forget the tent. And stress, which leads to coping mechanisms, some of which are maladaptive to the self. So, for example, excessive drug use, asterisks, and some of which are maladaptive to others, extra consumption. And then with the asterisks, with drug use also having a negative impact on others, less ability to contribute and more likely to consume more resources if we take drugs. Don't know what the drugs are, of course. Maybe some drugs gives us more ability to contribute and less likely to consume more resources. Falling for the stereotypical label trap there. Where are we? Oh wait, dot rather than the brackets. Also potential issues with empathy and maybe resentment / jealousy, anger / problems with impulse control, etc. Again, depending on what the drug is. What was I gonna say? That's that note, but I was going to mention something which I'm pretty sure I included in the WordPress, one of the WordPress articles, many years ago. But yeah, some of which are maladapted to the self, some of which are maladapted to others' extra consumption. So we'll do I'll just make this up as we go along here. But it's interesting that we have a judicial system that punishes people if they deprive a single individual, well, not necessarily single, but of their time / energy, or of all of their time. So that's through murder, for example. But we don't have any form of punishment in place for those that drain time and energy to lesser extents, or per individual. Show how tired I am right now. But at greater extents in total. So basically, a greater extent, but spread across many more people. We don't have any form of punishment in place for those that drain time and energy to less. Just put greater extents. Spread across more people. Check my sugars because I suddenly feel quite tired. It is dropping, so we'll see what's going on there. Yeah, we don't have any form of punishment in place for those that drain time and energy to greater extents, but spread across more people. So obviously this is very bad for obvious reasons. But yeah, that's one person's time and energy if someone was to kill one person. However, if we take an example of someone who burns through an absolute crap ton of resources, it could be said that they take way more time and energy, but spread across lots of different people. But yes, interesting that's not factored in. Of course, the issue there is that it runs into the continuum conundrum of how much resources is it okay to burn through, to consume. And much like all these things, it would have to be an arbitrary line, which is a very grey area. I probably wrote that and framed that a lot better in the WordPress article, so I'm quite tired at the moment, but hopefully that makes sense. And of course, burning through crap tons of resources can actually be framed, can actually be, and often is, by the perpetrators, framed as a positive thing within a system that holds a figurative GAN to people's heads, to a lot people's heads. Doesn't have much in the way of a financial safety net, which I've definitely talked about in the previous videos about people who often have a lot of money try and frame certain things, try to frame burning through crap tons of resources as a positive by saying, oh, well, we're providing jobs, don't you know? And you need a job, don't you? Yes, you do. Yes. But yeah, I definitely already spoke about that, so don't need to go into that again. But it is quite interesting. It is quite interesting. This was the other day, June 2024. Work hard, play hard. It's a great slogan for capitalists. A slogan that benefits capitalists, should we say. Because it gets people to work hard to make them money. Because in a lot of cases it does end up being profits for those that own things. And then spend loads, which makes them even more money, since more consumption equals more profits. Not that I'm necessarily against this phrase, but I think it's interesting to think of who common phrases and who benefits from them. And once again, the other day, more world peace stuff, contentment, important for contentment. I really need to combine all these things, so I'm sure I've written about this before, but never mind. Sense of autonomy and freedom, especially in the workplace. I mean, it's obviously good generally, but maybe like school as well, where we spend most of our time. Sense of connection / community, sense of self-worth. We'll add belonging in there. Belonging. Physical / mental health. Sense of contribution. Ooh. Can't type. Which is obviously related to self-worth. Could be sense of purpose in there as well. Sense of not too much detraction. So via consumption. Or not enough, whatever that means. Contribution. Which is again related to self-worth. That's and or, isn't it? And or. What is excessive? Sense of safety / security. So looking at financial, physical, mental. Sense of power. Ability to impact our lives and surroundings. Which obviously relates to autonomy and freedom. I feel like I thought of something halfway through that and I've forgotten what it is already. I guess you could have a sense of hope in there as well for the future. You could also add in sense of other people's kind of intentionality, sense of being positive, which the current system might / probably is undermining. Might be undermining currently through a emphasis focus on the individual. Because obviously if we look around and see everyone trying to make more money for themselves kind of thing, then that can kind of distort our perception of other people's intentions. Because we never truly know other people's intentions, we have to kind of have some kind of sense for it, or for them. There's probably loads more. As I say, I probably should organise my notes a little bit better, but who organises things these days? Okay. Right, June 24. I've cracked the code. You can never crack the code. Oh, that was a nice short one. And speaking of short, I want to keep the videos relatively short. 20 minutes plus is probably not that short compared to a lot of videos, but especially these days. But yeah, we'll end it here and continue on later. So I hope you're all doing well, and have a good rest of your day. Take care, everyone. Peace.